And we're back. Talk about unity. Talk about unity. That's what we're doing this morning. And we're back and we're ready for our guests now. So I'm going to turn it over to Richard. Richard, give us an intro of our guests.
Carlin, why am I doing it? You know him.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I just want to sit back and hear somebody else introduce him so I can get the full. I just want to sit back and be an observer and see if I feel the same way about the stuff I hear about him. Because I do know some things about him. Last year, I toured the country, stopped in Indianapolis, and met this guy who was hosting a forum, and I was part of the forum he'd set up, and just an outstanding organization. They were doing a lot of things here in Indianapolis. So since then, I've been in touch with him, and we've been working on some ideas and things we have to bring about unity in the country. So that's what we're going to do. He's going to be our guest today, but I want to get the formal intro. So give us a little bit of his bio, and then we'll get to it.
Joshua Bach was born in Muncie, Indiana, attended Ball State University, and 3 years ago he launched and was co-founder of Amplify Media. He's been married for 19 years, father of 5 daughters, and now runs community outreach for financial education. Let's welcome and talk about unity with Mr. Joshua Bach.
Welcome, Joshua. Say hello to everybody here. Say hello to our listeners.
Hello, hello. So good to be here. I'm honored.
Oh, man. Well, it's great to have you. And I'm looking forward to the show today because a lot of times we have guests and we want to hear certain aspects of the guests and what they've done professionally and everything. That's not the case with Mr. Joshua Bach, because on Talk About Unity, we got you here specifically because we just want to hear about the Bachs. We want to hear about Joshua Bach and things like that. So we're going to have a lot of questions. And so get ready for it today because we're going to get a full life expose of Joshua Bach. All right. So you ready for that?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So first of all, I want you to kind of begin by giving us a little bit of your background growing up. I want to hear about Joshua Bach, how he grew up, and what brings you to this current day of doing what you do.
You want to go deep. You want to go deep, Carlin. Is that what I'm hearing?
We're going for a deep dive, and we got time. It's going to be good. I love the audio. You're sounding great. You know, I like your background. Ready? Your wife and your dog are going to be walking by every now and then, but that's not going to be distracting.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real in the Bach household.
Because that's the real Joshua Bach. All right. So give us a little bit of your, like I said, growing up and what brings you to your philosophy of what you do today. And then we're going to eventually get to some really deep family stuff because we want to hear about your family and all that. So give us all that, and then we'll start asking you other questions. So just give us a little bit about Joshua Bach.
Absolutely. Yeah. Grew up a little small town outside of Muncie, Indiana, primarily Muncie. And, played football. We were out in the rural area, close to the big city of Muncie. And, just grew up in an area that was predominantly Caucasian, light pigmentation, right? And so it wasn't until I went to college where I got an opportunity to experience individuals from all different walks of life, religious backgrounds, different cultures, different heritages, and really gotten involved with community building efforts within the university, and then began doing that as a career moving forward. So good old Indiana. I don't know what most people think of Indiana when they think, I think a lot of people think of corn or
basketball.
Basketball, and of course you got the Indy 500.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot more than corn in Indiana, let me tell you.
Wow. Okay. And so now you got to Amplify Media, Amplify Indy. What brought you there? Was that part of your training? Was that part of Ball State training, or was that something else?
It's a bit. I know that. I have a financial background, and so years ago I saw the need. Some of the biggest problems that we have on planet Earth today are very closely nestled in with the lack of financial education, and so I eventually created a nonprofit organization working with that. So it gave me an opportunity to work in all different walks of life, helping people and nonprofits around the Indianapolis area. I know that that led one thing. You know how when you're out there in the trenches and you're doing the do, as we say, one thing leads to another. Mm-hmm. Harrison Painter and I got reconnected about 3.5, 4 years ago, and we founded Amplify Indy, Amplify Media Company. And so we do podcasts, and we're in the trenches working with nonprofits. We're definitely tackling the tough topics, which is how you and I met in the first place, Carlin. We were lucky enough to have you come to Indianapolis when we had a big event in Indianapolis, a conversation about racism.
And so let's go deeper on that. And so where do you get your particular views? You talked about the fact that you grew up in pretty much white environment, but I happen to know what most everybody else here doesn't know, that you're not white. You know,
I'm not white.
You're not white. And so how did you get to that position? And then let's transition that to how it's been applied in your life.
Well, man, that's a long conversation. I will say probably the best way to describe that is the best way to describe that is working with George Middleton. We had a podcast together for a little over a year, and it was the state of race in America, and so we had the opportunity to tackle some of those really tough questions. And for those listening that know of the great George Middleton, you also know that he has an incredible way of asking questions. And sometimes the questions he asks,
my co-host Richard knows that.
That's true.
Make you sweat. And so we had the podcast together, we really put us in an opportunity to really explore, okay, what is race? And how was it created? Why was it created? And then we started going down the rabbit hole of history, of what really took place. And the deeper I got down that rabbit hole, the more that I realized that we've been all fed so many lies in regards to utilizing like the pigmentation to separate classes to create these things that we call race. So really from that point, I made a firm decision, and I said, okay, as of today, I said it on a podcast. I am no longer identifying as a white person, because it's a figment of my imagination. So that took place a little over about 2 years ago. Now I think it'd probably be good to say, I don't know if this would be a shoe-in to explain that my family is of all different pigmentations, different colors, different heritage, different backgrounds, and has been for many, many years. So I think those two things mixed together, combined with what we're doing in the community, is why we align with a race. It just makes absolute perfect sense to us.
And so it sounds like you were actually living that life before you made the profession. So
Absolutely.
Because give everybody the background of your family makeup.
Yeah, so five daughters. My oldest is 15. She's a sophomore in high school. And then I've got an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and 2 9-year-olds. All of our daughters came to us by way of adoption. And so my wife and I have fostered for many years, fostered a number of different children. And we're very fortunate enough to be able to bring 4 of our daughters into our home by way of fostering, and then our oldest just by way of traditional adoption.
And
all
different,
different skin colors.
Yeah, give us those skin colors. What are their
all
skin
different
colors
heritages? African American, Hispanic, Caucasian. We've got nieces and nephews that are of Asian descent. All different areas from Europe, and so just a big, gigantic melting pot of incredible human beings that make up our family.
The box. And so
the box.
So yeah, so you had this idea. So when you made that profession, you were basically saying something. You began to state what was already obvious based on the way that you were living, that there was no such thing as this race thing in your life and in your family. And so when did that realization take place, or was it something just because of the way that you were raised? Because how did you get there? Because you did that before 2 years ago. You were already living it.
Well, I got to give credit to my family. I was very fortunate to be brought up into a family that taught and showed love. And so, from a very early age, I did not, fortunately, I did not grow up with some of the, as George Middleton says, the diseases of a lot of the racism, and the racial tension and biases that we see today. So I did grow up, and both my parents were, I guess you could call them hippies of some degree, and so peace, love, and so for whatever, I just didn't grow up that way. But I will say, going back to what you were asking, when that revelation, in regards to with the podcast, and this was before Carlin, you and I had met for the first time. It really hit me in one of the questions that George had given about why we differentiate, why we have to use an adjective, a color adjective to describe an individual before we talk about who this person is. Why does it have to be a white guy? Why does it have to be a black guy? Why does it have to be a Hispanic guy, a brown guy? Why does it have to be all these different things? And it really hit me when we were in the podcast, and soon after a conversation I had with George. I don't tuck my black daughters to bed at night.
Right.
I don't give my Hispanic daughter a kiss and tell her I love her. It's not my Hispanic daughter. It's not my black daughter. It's not my Caucasian daughter. It's not my Asian nephew. No, it's none of these things. They are my family. This is my daughter. So on a family tight knit love in regards to a family unit, if we're not doing it here, why would we ever do it here? First of all, why are we doing it outside of the home? Why are we doing it within our neighborhood? Why are we doing it within our city? Why are we doing it within the world as a whole? Why is color such a divider? And so that from that point on, it just made clear sense to me. And shortly after that, we came across Erase Race, and we're like, finally, a breath of fresh air, an organization that sees it, that's up against a large resistance, but they're doing it. So yeah, we support everything you guys do.
And why did you not get that disease that most of the rest of the people in our country get? Why did you not get that? I mean, what would your parents do? Was it just that they made it obvious by the way that they lived, or did they say something?
And keep in mind too that by no means do I want to say that I didn't have any biases whatsoever or misconceptions or things that would be called racism today, I'm sure. But I just really think it was just compassion. I think it was taught, my mother especially just taught me the significance of human life and the significance of all life. And so I believe I had some really good loving upbringing that maybe gave me a little bit of an advantage, I guess, moving forward. I could see it maybe a lot clearer and quicker than some others. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, well, that's good. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of those deeper things, specifically concerning about the race ideology that we plan on getting rid of with the races and our Talk About Unity show. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to get deep into the racial ideology. Okay, so we'll be right back.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
All right, we're back here on Talk About Unity. We have our guest all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana, Mr. Joshua Bach, and we were getting really deep on the racial issues, and now we're going to get a little bit deeper. All right, because we're going to, on Talk About Unity, we talk about how we get to this thing called unity. And Joshua Bach has a very diverse family, and we know that he often faces the issues such as we face in our society. When you've got that diversity, you've got to bring about unity. So I think Joshua is probably the expert on this, and President Trump should be calling him, asking him for solutions on how we fix this. And so tell us, Joshua, what is it like in your house when you have a dispute and you've got to settle it when you've got a diverse group? And just, you can start from whatever you do, because, you know, I'm thinking if they got Joshua Bach, a loving dad there, then they've already got a certain context under which they dispute. So that could be part of it, that you don't have disputes where people get into it about skin color because they're Bachs.
No.
You know, so tell us how that works. And you remember, you're answering some questions for President Trump while you answer. So
yeah, there you go. Well, in all reality, I'm certain, just like any other household, the idea of there's no racial tension, like zero within the Bach household. Never has been. I don't anticipate there ever being.
Freeze right there. Hold it, Josh. I mean, that's huge. What you just said is very huge, because what you said is, in your household, there is no racial tension. How could there not be? They're all different races.
Yeah, because what the world is battling with and pushing, and the narratives that are being, the back and forth nuances that are taking place are happening in the world, and to some degree affects a bit of our household, but in the same token, it's not even a tension whatsoever within our household, because there's no reason for it to be.
Because at the end of the day, they're Bachs.
They're Bachs. And we have now, keep in mind too, we do have our conversations and discussions, so we talk about things. And race being one of them. We talk about tensions. We talk about what's going on in the world today with, oh my gosh, where do you start, right? So we talk about those things, but we communicate them in a way that we just explain, this is what it is. And this is how we operate. And we're also, a Christ-centered household. That's first and foremost. And then, my wife and I lead the household, and, so there's an order that works out that allows for that harmony to take place, but we're all human beings at the Bach household.
Okay, very good. And so what is their education been like? Are they homeschooled? Are they public education? What is the environment for them? Yeah,
so all five of my daughters go to a Catholic school, just a couple blocks away from where we live. Our oldest goes to a high school a few miles down the road. But so faith is a big part of our school. So that's obviously first and foremost. We believe in that, and it definitely is very important to us.
And so how do your daughters interact? Like, 'cause they go to school, they've got home there. Outsiders, especially our society, when they see all these things happening on the news, when they see that, what is kind of their response? And when you all dialogue about that, what can you tell us kind of how they see that? It would be interesting to see in the Bach household, how a family that comes from diversity views the issues in our society of diversity.
Well, I think it's important to make note that where we live, our entire neighborhood is very diverse, not just with skin color, with age, socioeconomic background, profession, political affiliation. And the school and the church we go to is. So you got
Trump signs in some yards and Biden signs in other yards,
Yeah, I will say there's not any Trump signs in yards within our neighborhood, but there's a lot of Biden.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we were wondering it down here in Texas because my wife and I have been driving around and we don't see any Biden signs. We're like, but I'm in rural parts of Texas, I guess, and I go, man, I haven't seen a Biden sign yet.
Yeah, we live in the thick of the city, so it's definitely we're in a liberal area for sure.
Okay. All right. So, Richard, I don't know if you got any other questions. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah. Here's my main question. Kids from junior high to high school, sometimes they're just mean, and they have their opinion, their preference, their prejudice, their lack of socialization. And what do you do when these young people say things that are just totally off the wall and inappropriate, and your girls bring that home and you try to help them process that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Fortunately, those things don't happen very often at all, and I think there's many reasons for that. I also think that the younger generation's skin color is not an important topic of discussion. But when they do, when and if certain conversations come up, if someone's being a bully, if it's tied in with the color of their skin, which very rarely is. But if it is, we talk about it, we communicate, we just sit down and we just share. Hey, these are some things that happen in society, and here's why we believe that it's not right. Here's what we believe, and so it gives an opportunity to create dialogue. And then we ask a lot of questions with our kids. We do a lot of listening just to kind of get a feel for, how do these things make you feel? And so communication's everything, regardless of whether it's on the topic of race, or whether it's on the topic of bullying, or anything else.
That's good.
How do you personally feel when you hear some of the stuff that you hear on the news, and people will look at you, and even though I know you're not a white man, people will look at you and say you're a white man, and so when they make a statement about you don't understand for Black people, or you don't understand for Hispanic people, how do you feel about that personally? Because they might not know you and they don't know what's inside your house. How do you respond to that, or how do you feel about that?
Well, that's definitely a topic that I think has been ingrained over the last few decades, that idea of separation. And so by no means do I feel that just because we've got this in order within our household that we're the end all be all, or the or the voice, so to speak, for everyone, because that's not the message at all. This is what works for us. But it's a tough one, because I think when we have someone that's maybe very angry that says you'll never know what it's like to be me, or you'll never know what it's like to be a part of my heritage. And my answer would be, you're probably right, but I'm willing to listen, and let's figure out a way on how, tell me more. Because a lot of times I think people just have a lot of pain that's just stored very deep, and they're being they've got organizations and the media and all sorts of different things that are pulling that pain out of them, I think. So I think a lot of times it's just let's figure out, how can we listen? How can we figure out a way to find unity in all the divisiveness that's going on? And I mean, this is how we do it. We communicate, we listen, we sympathize, and we grow together.
Do you ever feel a need to respond to them when they say, if you've ever heard anybody say this, because I've heard people say this, white people don't know what it's like to have to tell your Black children this thing. And so to me, that shows, number one, an ignorance of the fact that a lot of people have Black children, quote unquote Black children. And so what is your response to that? Has anybody said anything like that to you?
I mean, not exactly, but there's been, yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, and what it is basically their worldview is based upon Black and white. Exactly. And so, if that's their worldview, and I would, somehow have been able to create a different worldview within our household, I consider it an incredible gift, the ability to be able to have a household that
Mm-hmm.
is so united, and skin color has no bearing on our family members,
Mm-hmm.
But that's a tough one, because if it's their worldview and they've got the pain, what can I say to them? Definitely can't argue with them. It's not going to go anywhere, in my opinion.
And so that's interesting, because, in my view, I think Joshua Bach needs to argue with them. My view is that's why I've got Joshua Bach here on Talk About Unity, because really I think so much of what you've lived is instructive for the way that our society needs to exist. And that is because you challenge all of those, I guess you say, those prejudices or those presuppositions that people would have of what is called white people, because, our whole idea is that there's no such thing as white people. There's no such thing as black people. There are people, and race is the thing that makes us have these generalizations and these stereotypes about people. So we would make statements like that. So I would be the manager of Joshua Bach, and I would say, Joshua Bach, when they bring that up, you sit them down and say, let's talk. Let me tell you about life. Because you're such an example of the way that we should really live in our society. I mean, I have this idea, and right now in our society, I can go out and I can say this thing. And of course, people in today's society are going to hate you for one reason or another. We're very divided in our country. We understand that. But there are things that I can say right now that you can't say, because our society basically looks at us as white and black people. What they don't understand is our family makeup, And so and I've got one friend who continually tells me that, quote unquote, black people have to do this in order to get ourselves right and do that. And then I always allude to my grandson, who's as much European as he is an African. And I go, all right, so what is he? Is he part of, which group is he a part of? And that's always a tough answer for him, and he'll go back to that one drop rule from slavery and say, well, he's black because he's got something black. And I go, that's ridiculous.
It is,
And so that's why I think you're just a good example, and why I want people to hear Joshua Bach's view on how you handle these things,
Yeah. Well, I think another thing too that's important to talk about is and it reminds me of what I hear you say when you go fill out a form or a survey, or you go to the doctor or whatever. When they ask you what color you are, your suggestion is to put nothing, or put not giving, not delivering that information. And so I think it's important to say that when Kara and I, my wife, decided that we wanted to foster and look at the idea of adoption, when they asked us, because they ask you, age range, male, female, skin color, kids that you would want to bring into your household. These are all things that you fill out ahead of time. Well, we didn't check off anything with the skin color. So I think it's important to note that we didn't seek a child that with a certain skin color. We didn't seek those things, but what we did say is we'd like to bring a child into our home, and whether we adopt them or foster them, we want to give this child an opportunity to have a safe home and an opportunity to experience love and security. And so I think it's important to note, because we didn't check a box on that. And I think because we didn't check a box, it gave us an opportunity to have a household full of kids coming from different heritages and backgrounds. So I think that's an important lesson as well. Let's quick checking the box of black, white, brown, and yellow.
That's beautiful. Box saying, get out of the box. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back here to close out in our lightning round with some questions for Joshua Bach. We'll be right back on Edge Radio. Talk about unity.
Block out the box.
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay?
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your...
We're back here on Talk About Unity on Edge Radio Network. And we're excited to be here with our guest today from Indianapolis, Indiana, Mr. Joshua Bach. He's given us some great insight on how to bring about unity in a diverse world, because he lives in one every day. He created it, and he's making it at home for a lot of great people. And so we're going to talk about something now. I want to talk about some solutions, because I think Joshua Bach's got the answers for the United States.
Come on.
And I've got these these 4 things I came up with. I call them the 4 L's. And I wanted you to kind of cover what needs to go under each one of those. I have these ideas, and I'll just throw them out because I'm trying to get from you, and Richard might have some answers here as well. But I have listen, because listen's important, I think, and we don't do enough of that. Learn. We got to learn more about others. Love, and that care and compassion we have, and then live. We've really got to live. So tell me how you see that manifested in some of the solutions that we should have for our country today. And we can start at the top with listen. And I'll get Richard and both you and Richard weighing in on that. What does listen mean to you when it comes to this concept of erasing race and bringing about unity in our country?
I think listening, I mean, it's definitely the first step, because that allows for the individual that you're communicating with to feel important, significant, that what their feelings and thoughts, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with them, you took the time to genuinely listen and not look for that next word that you're going to rebuttal, not look for listen in order to gain ammunition. Listen just to allow the individual to communicate, I think is imperative.
Good. Richard, what do you think? Listen.
So important. Man, the thing that we have to be focused on is when they make a statement or allegation about our character and who we are, like, hey, you're a racist. My first thing that I say is, how so? And listen for the answer and be honest with yourself. Is it true? And then the next thing I always say is, what can I do to make myself a better person and to not be what you say that I am? And really try to apply those things, because we've had this conversation before that I have blind spots. We all do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so when we can see that other side of us, mm-hmm. such an important thing, and just move forward and get better every single day. And when there's others in our family, in our sphere of influence, that really say and do things that are inappropriate, then we just say, hey, come on, man. You know what? We are better than that. We don't have to say that, mm-hmm. do that, and we don't have to be that. So
good, very good. Yeah, and I think listening is the ultimate sign of respect. Yeah. Because I appreciate you, and so I will take time to hear what you have to say. it's just the ultimate sign of respect. And
Yeah.
I think that's what engenders a better atmosphere for conversation and dialogue, because I'm going to show you respect. And if I'm willing to show you that respect, then you're going to be willing to listen to me as well. I think because respect begets respect. And so I think listening is important. Okay?
Carlin, when we say how so and we listen, it really demands an answer, because some people throw out the name calling, but there's no meat behind it. And it causes everyone in the conversation to really stand behind what they say.
Right. And I think, so you want to say it solicits an answer, not demands an answer.
Right.
Because if you demand it, it's like, you've got to give me an answer.
No.
I want to hear more from you.
That's right.
I want to hear more from you. Can you tell me? Because you could help me.
That's
and
right.
You're telling them, would you be willing to help me? Now, sadly, in our society, some people say, no, that's your fault and it's your business. You deal with it, and that's one of the answers.
Yeah.
But at least you're trying to get the dialogue going. So it's a process. So we got to work through it. All right. So that's listening. Let's talk about learn. So what does learn mean in the Bach household? How is relationship engendered based on people learning?
Well, I think by initially listening to a thought or an idea or a person's viewpoint, it gives us an opportunity to learn. Gives us an opportunity to, instead of being stern on a particular idea to the point to where you're not listening and you're not learning, open it up, listen to it, evaluate it, and it gives us an opportunity. We should be learning something new and growing deeper every single day.
That's good.
In order to do that, we need to make a decision to do so.
Good. Richard, learn.
If you're not learning, if you're not growing, that's a bad thing. Every day needs to be a learning experience. Read more books. Look people in the eye. They're saying things without their mouth all the time. When you're being received and when you're being rejected, and push beyond that. Get outside of your circle of normal and what's comfortable, and open up your life to people from all different backgrounds. And I'm not just talking about color. It's from all backgrounds. People that you don't normally hang out with. Ask yourself why, and just begin to grow. It's not hard.
Yeah, that's really good, because if you are not willing to learn, it's because I have all the knowledge I need. And if I have all the knowledge I need, I don't need to know anybody else. I don't need to understand anybody else. I don't need to grow in any way, because I have all I need. And so learning is a very key aspect of this ability for us to engage others and grow with others. I think about my mom. My mom passed when she was 82. And I was always shocked from the time, once I retired from the Marine Corps and came there when she was about 70 or 73. And so I lived the last 9 years with her, and I spent a lot of time with her daily. I was amazed at how much she was willing to learn and grow. And then I began to understand that came from her educator background. She was a teacher all of her life, and she just always had this thirst to continually grow. So she was open to new ways of thinking. She's 80 years old and learning how to, download programs and use the stuff on the computer and all this stuff. And I was like, wow. And so I think it's our desire to continually learn that opens us up for new people, new experiences, and new opportunities we have to engage in deeper relationships. And so I think that's very important, that we continually want to learn.
That's right.
That's huge. All right. And then love, the LOVE. Before we start talking about love, and I don't want to get on this tangent because I can get on tangents pretty easily, but there was that Cardi B song that I was talking about. Oh my goodness. I can't even talk about that on here because we're supposed to be a unity show. Because I start talking about Cardi B and her music, and it'll get ugly real fast.
Cardi don't.
Because so I'm not gonna talk about Cardi. But there's this thing that, and I'm not gonna even put that in a love category in any way, because she was talking kind of sexually, which has nothing to do with love really. But I want to talk about how we bring love into this environment of disunity, and why that's important, not only in a family context but in an organizational context. So let's hear it from Mr. Bach first. How is love important?
Yeah. But, I mean, that's what everything is all about. I know that for one, many years ago, I was put in a position to where I really was able to learn forgiveness. In order for me to really learn a deeper level of love, I had to learn forgiveness. And I know that I look at a lot of people that are in pain and a lot of people that are hurt, not just on the topic of race, but all different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me that in order for us to really truly be able to love and unite, we have to figure out a way on how to forgive others and how to forgive ourselves, because it's one and two the same in so many different ways. So definitely tying in that forgiveness part with love is just vital.
Great. All right. He's gonna pull out Pastor Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out the pastor hat.
Pull out the pastor.
Yeah.
That's love.
Well, 1 Corinthians 13 says, "Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love is not
I got the organ
easily
going.
provoked."
Okay.
Psalms 119 verse 165 says, "Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them." How easy it is for people to get offended today. But when we love people, man, it's a whole lot easier to make progress. And so it's just a daily thing. Jesus said, "Love your enemies."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how many people are good at that? Not too many, but we can get better little by little. Yeah. Forgiveness is the first step.
That's good. And I see that so often in our social media cancel culture, where we're so willing to throw away relationships. They're so flippant, and we can in 1 second, because somebody didn't meet our expectation, they didn't say the right thing, they didn't act the right way, and we cancel them. And I see people all the time posting things on Facebook saying, if you respond this way, then just unfriend me, or take me out of your. And I go, whoa, you're throwing away relationships like that? Where is the love? Matter of fact, I did this thing I was going to post on YouTube where the Black Eyed Peas had that song, "Where's the Love?" and telling everybody, because that's a deep song. It's a really good song and very instructive for what we need in our society today. Where is the love? Can you show that love? Okay. And the last one is live. So what does it mean to live? We did all those others: listen, learn, love, and now we live.
Yeah, live. And again, we've been blessed that we've made a conscious effort to live in an area of Indianapolis that's very diverse. We go to a church and school that's very diverse. We interact with people from all different walks of life and diversity, and we choose to live in that unity, in that choice to make, to not just spend time and hang out with people that are just like us. And to explore that. And if we figure out a way to expand those horizons, what we find out is that we are so much more alike than different, regardless of socioeconomic background, regardless of skin color, regardless of age, regardless of any type of polar opposites that this world's trying to push on us. We are so much more alike than different. And if we just give an opportunity to live with each other and interact with each other, we'll all experience that.
All right, Richard.
In the beginning, until we live a diverse life, we have to be intentional about moving outside of the same old. We really do. And what I love with my family as the next generations are getting married, the color thing is falling off pretty fast. And so all of a sudden we're at a family get together and somebody says, "Hey, I gotta go fill up my plate or go to the bathroom or do something." And I say, "Hold my baby." And it's not a white baby. And all of a sudden it's a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not having a conversation with a dark skin colored new relative that you haven't met because we haven't been sharing life. No. You're having a conversation with your cousin or your aunt. We just need to be intentional about just moving together. And I believe the labels and the adjective, all of a sudden it falls off because it's relationship.
Yeah, and so So what we're going to do is we're going to close out the show, but we're going to do it right after we take this break here on the Edge Radio Network, and we'll be back to close out the show. We'll see you then.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bill.
Hey, talk about unity right here. So excited as we close out our show today. We've got Joshua Bach, and I tell you what, it's just been a blessing to have Joshua give us a little insight into the Bach family. And so we got a new quote out of the show, if nothing else. So the box gets you out the box, so that's great. We'll be using that one. But as we close the show, we went through these things: listen, learn, love, and live. And so just in a summary statement, we'll go to Joshua, then we'll go to Rich, and I'll give a closing statement. Tell us, how you put all this together and summarize what this has meant to you today.
Yeah, it is. It's great having these conversations. Of course, I'm a big fan of Erase Race, huge supporter. Anything that we can do here in Indiana and elsewhere, we're definitely going to be promoting. We believe in the cause. I think just having these conversations are important. They're vital. I think realizing and listening to different walks of life. Mm-hmm. I know, with my background of having children in all different heritages and skin tones, they're my kids, they're my girls.
That's right.
They are, and they always will be. And if the way that we live our life can inspire others to take a little different look at things,
mm-hmm.
then let's do that. Because I tell you what, I love my family, and will do anything for them. And regardless of whether we share the same blood or DNA, mm-hmm. they're my girls, and
mm-hmm.
love them so much. So I love this show. I love what you're doing, and I want to keep supporting that. Keep going. Keep on keeping on.
All right, outstanding. We want to thank you, man. I tell you, love is mutual. All right, thank you. All right, Pastor Rich.
It's so important that we come together, be intentional about that, ask questions, and then really spend some time listening and taking to heart a different perspective. Don't take it personal. We all come from a place that's different, and just be able to soak that in and mm-hmm. see where you can improve. And if somebody says that you are one thing and you are not that, don't be afraid to speak into that and give an explanation. Don't be defensive and defiant, mm-hmm. but talk in a way where people can receive it and grow together. Why can't we grow together every day?
Yeah, and I think that's huge that we grow together, because most people think they're already grown.
Oh, that's true.
They think they're grown. Hey, but I want to thank my guest, Joshua Bach, and of course my co-host, Richard, because this is what we need to do in our society, really have more of this type of conversation, dialogue, find out what people are thinking, and grow together. And I think that's what happens when we have this conversation. So, Joshua, give us a shout out from Amplify Indy, an ad pitch so people can find you on Facebook or wherever they need to find you. Tell us where you are.
Yeah, so we do a number of podcasts dealing with community challenges, community uniting themes. And so to hear more of those podcasts, go to amplifyindy.com. We'd love to have you join our podcast family.
Outstanding. We appreciate it. And I want to give a shout out to Erase Races. And we look to be coming to Indianapolis to do some more work with the box as we get everybody else out the box. And so eraseraces.com on Facebook, at Erase Races, and Twitter and Instagram, same thing. We got a lot of more content coming out there to try to educate and stimulate people to have more of this type of dialogue, this really good conversation. Richard, go ahead and close us out, and we'll end our show today.
Well, I just want to say that it's such an important thing that we come together and erase race and talk about unity. And we just pray that you don't get too close to the edge. Yeah.
Hey, don't push me,
because I'm close to the
Edge Radio Network. This is Talk About Unity. We want to thank you all for listening today. We want to thank again our guest, Joshua Bach. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you.